listening to the Patriot Nation podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation podcast. As always, it's your guy Pat Lane here with my man Matt St. Jean. And Matt, there's I think turmoil might be the best word to use for it. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in Foxborough right now, and almost none of it is good. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the positive if you're a Boston fan and you're looking for something to watch right now. If you want to spend 3 hours on Boston sports, the 04 Sox documentary just dropped on Netflix, and I'm about to almost done with the second episode, and I can say already it's a must watch. So, there's a positive. I don't know how many others we're going to get to tonight.
I'm very excited about watching it. I have not watched it yet. I was slacking on the Penguin. Hadn't watched it yet. Had to watch episode 5. I'll tell you right now, if you are, if we're out here giving recommendations as to what to watch, if you are a comic book fan in any way, even if you're not a comic book fan, honestly, it doesn't really matter. This show is freaking incredible. So on Max, the Penguin, it's in the same universe as the Batman, which is the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, and that was incredible. Obviously the Penguin's the same character, but like outside of the Penguin, there's really no other characters that are the same. So you don't have to have seen the movie. Obviously, like the events of the movie have already happened, so it's like after the movie. So it's like it will give the movie away, and if you haven't seen it, but it's an incredible show. The 5 episodes in, and it's honestly like every single episode, I'm like, I don't know how they're going to win all the awards, all of them. Like Colin Farrell is incredible. The woman that plays it is in it is incredible. And his right-hand man is fantastic too. So it's a great show. Got to get out there and watch it if you haven't seen that. So
it's on my list.
Yeah.
We'll see. I might wait. Is it all out?
It's not. I think I'm not sure if it's 6 or 8 episodes, but I think it's 8. It's only 5 in, so you still got a few more weeks. But they like moved it to at first it was gonna like come out all together, and then it was gonna come out on Thursday night, and then they were like, no, we're moving this to Sunday night. So they moved it to Sunday night, and like the Sunday night prime time, like prime spot Sunday night show on HBO is always a banger, always, every single time. And so as soon as that happened, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be good. And it's like even better than I thought it was going to be.
Is that the slot that Sopranos had back in the day?
It's the slot that Sopranos had. It's the slot that Game of Thrones had. It's the slot that Succession had. It's like all the big shows. Bam, bam, bam. The Wire, I think, back in the day was Sunday night. So like it's every Sunday night on HBO. It's like that's the spot you want to be in. So.
Spot to be. I might wait for the whole thing to drop and then
then binge it. Yeah, a lot of people are bingers, and I usually binge stuff, but like when it's something like this, I'll watch it as we go. I'm watching Agatha too. It's like if it's superhero stuff, I'm typically watching it as it goes, unless I don't really care about it, then I'll binge it. So
maybe Pat's bye week in December. That'll be my source of entertainment.
There you go. Nice, I like that. Yeah. So all right, let's get into this team. I know you have some thoughts on the coach. I don't know. Hey, all right. Let's keep it positive. Okay, let's keep it positive. If you haven't heard this stat, this is going to be a great stat. If you haven't heard this stat, all right, buckle up. 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL have started their career, their first 2 starts, have had a combined at least 500 passing yards, and at least 5 touchdowns. Those 2 quarterbacks are Dan Marino and Drake Maye.
Now, I know there's going to be somebody in the comments saying that that's a bad thing because Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. So I'm just going to get ahead of that and say, no, don't type that. If you're typing that right now, don't type that. Just stop.
That's correct. Yes. If you think being compared to Dan Marino in passing stats is bad because Dan Marino didn't win, just keep that thought to yourself. Okay. But I will say, like, he has really impressed me, and I know you're about to kind of talk some shit about the coaching staff, and I'm okay with that. I will say regardless of how bad the coaching staff is and how maybe over their heads the coaching staff is, they've taught Drake Maye a hell of a lot. His footwork looks good. His reads look good. He's making good and accurate passes. Like, so as bad as things have been, you can look at TC McCartney and AVP, at least with their handling of Drake Maye, and say, like, I mean, they're doing something right, right? They're doing something right. He looks good. You know, the footwork at times is still a little bit of a mess, but it looks significantly better than it did at UNC, in my opinion. And so, you know, that's just kind of my quick takeaway from that. You know, that doesn't mean that things are great, but I think they've done a good job with him, progressing him to where he is. I mean, he's 6 months after getting drafted. Like, it's not that far. They haven't had much long that too long with him. So,
yeah, no, May has been very impressive on the field thus far. Like, we're to a point now where this is the second game of the number 3 overall pick, and like, we're just kind of like, oh, we got the quarterback. All right, let's talk about the other things. Like, that feels like the state of this team right now, right, which is crazy. Like, it just feels like, without a doubt, like, oh yeah, he's got what it takes. Will he be a top 5 guy, top 3 guy, top 10 guy even? We don't really know yet. But he seems like he's already a guy who's like, all right, if he plays like this, he will be a starter in the NFL. A guy will be top 20 at his position. Like,
yeah.
The thing to me that has been the most impressive, I mean, maybe not the most impressive, but something that has impressed me is his attitude. Because I think it's easy to come away from watching him and think, oh, he doesn't care because he doesn't show a lot of emotion. And I think this is just, like, you watch him in the press conferences, and this is just who he is. He is very steady and very even, which I think is a fantastic trait for a quarterback.
It's a great trait.
The late quarterback coach Dick Rabine, one of the people who weighed in on the evaluation of Tom Brady. Brady always talked about him as a quarterback coach being somebody that was never too high and never too low about things, and how that helped in his development, and also, helped set up his mentality of, when things are bad, be even, because you can make a comeback. When things are good, don't get too high and lose what you're doing. Stay locked in so you can keep doing things well. And I look at the way Drake responds to things, and he seems to kind of be, even Stephen the whole way. Yeah. Things don't faze him. They don't bother him. The pressure's not getting to him. In the press conference, I love the way he handled the Jalen Bulk situation. It's a lot of, hey, that's my guy. I got confidence in him. We're going to get him the ball. Like, that. This is exactly what you want to see from a young franchise quarterback. And it makes me feel good. I think there's a lot of questions surrounding the franchise right now, but quarterback is the hardest one to answer, I would argue. And I think quarterback's harder to answer than head coach.
I would say so. I agree with you.
I mean, look at how long Mike McCarthy has had winning teams.
It's a great point. Yeah.
It makes me feel pretty good there.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone in the chat. TD, Nagan, Old Man, Edward. But James, I got to pull James' comment up here because he's right. If one good thing comes out of the comparison to Dan Marino, it is that Drake Maye will appear in the Ace Ventura movie in 2043. Some sort of reboot of the Ace Ventura movie. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I know some people, it's a long time ago for a lot of our listeners, but it's a great Jim Carrey movie from the 90s. So
I'm assuming we're going to move on from the positive to the negative here. So I have a question. Do we want to go negative about maybe not necessarily negative, but do we want to delve into the off-field press conferences first, or do we want to delve into the on-field performance first?
So it's up to you. I mean, the press conference stuff is weird. I think Mayo. Look, I do think. All right, no, screw it. I'm sorry, but the Boston media, all right, should be ashamed of themselves. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing what we have seen from the Patriots media. It's disgusting. It's disgusting is what it is. The way that they've been talking about Mayo, they're already calling for a shot. I mean, we have people that are like in media that are calling for him to get fired 7 games into his first season. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. And does it look good on the field? Absolutely not. Is he a great person at the podium? I can tell you he isn't. Okay, he certainly made a lot of mistakes there. But if you think Bill Belichick, and look, I'm sorry, Bill Belichick, he's out there, trying to prop himself up. He coached a really terrible football team last year, completely devoid of talent last year, completely devoid of talent. Why? Because he missed and whiffed on so many draft picks and so many free agents and failed to make guys better, actively made people worse on the football team. For years, that's been happening. Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. Don't get it twisted. He's the greatest coach ever. Patriots fans will be ever appreciative, okay?
He's going to have a statue.
Right, he is, and he deserves one, right? But, we're looking at it saying, we thought he was going to win right now. How did anyone think? Everyone said they were going to suck. Then they come out and suck, and they're like, "These guys are the worst." It's like, well, you said they were going to suck. The Felger Matt said they were going to go 0-1.5. Right. Felger Matt said they were going to go 0-17, and now they're pissed that they're 1-7. And it's like, dude, you said they were going winless. So, and look, I don't blame Belichick at all. I don't. I really don't, because he's in the media now. So number one, he's trying to make headlines. Number two, he's trying to make himself look better. And so I don't blame him at all. That's not on him. Also, he's a professional grudge holder. He might be better at holding grudges than he is at coaching football. So I don't blame him for acting that way and saying those things. That's fine. But first of all, if you listen to Kirk Minihane about anything, you're a friggin' moron. If you listen to Kirk Minihane about anything.
I don't think I'd ever heard of him until today.
Oh God, dude.
Which I'm glad that I'd missed on him something.
It's just whatever, dude. It is what it is, and that's honestly, And then there's the DEI population who thinks that Mayo got it because he's a black guy or likes craft or whatever, and it's just like, stop it, just stop. And and so the hard thing for me is that I think Mayo is not doing a great job right now. I can see that. I think everyone in the world can see that. Okay? Mm-hmm. He's not doing well. But instead of sitting here in the media saying he's the worst coach of all time, we have to fire him right now because he sucks so much and this guy blew. Well, that's how we're going to handle covering this team. I'm telling you right now, the media for 25 years, all they've wanted to do is bash the Patriots and say how much the Patriots suck and say how dysfunctional it is. And they couldn't. They couldn't do that because Belichick was always winning. They couldn't do it. And so it's one of those things where it's like this has been pent up for 25 years, and now they're finally saying, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and this guy's it. And it's like, all right, relax. 7 games.
You know what's funny, Pat, is that coming from just watching part of the 2004 Red Sox documentary, there's a line in there from Tito when he first gets to Boston, and it is the second day of spring training. He's being hounded by the media. And he was just talking in the interview about how when you're in Boston with the media,
right,
there's a fire every day of the week.
Yeah,
and that's part of what this is, and that's the whole thing is tough because if we just let's get the on-field, we'll just look at the media section of this. I'll give my full thoughts on everything here.
Yeah.
One, I got no issue with Mayo calling the players soft. My only thing is that, my general rule of thumb is that if you were going to criticize players in a press conference, that presser shouldn't be the first time that players are hearing something.
Yep.
They should be hearing it from you directly first. And then if he wants to go and say it to the press, the only person you can really, complain about at that point is yourself for not having done something about it.
Right.
These are adult human beings fully capable of being held accountable for their actions. Look at the reaction from the players to Mayo's comments this week. It has been nothing but accountability, nothing but he's lighting a fire under Russ. That's how they are taking that.
Yeah.
And the media has completely overreacted to his comments.
Well, and can I just interject really quick? After he said they were soft, he then proceeded to say, that's on me to make it in the exact same, but everyone cuts it right there. And so that's just the way it goes. And so like, yeah, we cut. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll touch on this point too. I think that this is kind of there's two sides of this. One, Mayo has intentionally been taken out of context by people to make it look like Mayo is blaming players for things when he is really just saying this is something bad that's happening and we need to fix it. To a degree, like I'm not going to blame Mayo for people taking him out of context, except that I will say I think he could be more assertive with saying that it's his responsibility some of the time. I think he could force the issue a little bit better on that, and that's just learning this on the fly. And he's a little bit of a blabbermouth, and he gets stressed. I think you can tell, and I think it comes out at some of these where the words just don't flow naturally, and it's easier to take him out of context because of that. He's kind of immaterial to what you do as a coach for most of the job, but becomes very relevant for the public-facing sections of it. Shouldn't be relevant, but it is, and you just got to get better at it. But like, yeah, the media intentionally taking it out of context the way they did, acting like the player, like it's some massive insult to the players. If the players took it as an insult and it divided the room, then they might be right on it. But we have no evidence that that's what's happened here. In fact, quite the opposite. So they're just looking to blow it up. My issue with it really is him backing away from it on Monday after the game. It's a strong statement to call your own players soft.
Right.
And if you're going to make strong statements as a head coach, if you're going to be the I'm not afraid to rip my players when they're messing up head coach, that's fine. You can't back away from it. You have to be committed in what you're saying. Otherwise, it's going to feel inauthentic. People will see through you and think, does he really mean this? Or is he just trying to like play some part and like play like a tough guy when he isn't? So,
well, I don't know. And you're right about media wise. I don't know what the conversation with the group was after.
Exactly.
That. You know what I mean? And that's what we don't know, obviously.
Well, I think that's my personal opinion here is that when you go the next day, especially once you've already said it, you have to own it. You have to say, yeah, we played soft. I said it because we played soft. That's my responsibility and we're going to fix it. And just leave it at that. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. And I just didn't think his statement was all that good on it. It wasn't that strong. I think he has an idea of what he wants to be. I feel like he probably isn't as mealy-mouthed with things in the locker room with the players, but with the press, it just doesn't. There's just not as much clarity as I think he would like for someone in his position. And he is correct that if they start winning games, nobody's going to care. Well, Boston media will care, but really no one's going to care about this.
Right. That's
so
correct.
That winning fixes all things.
Well, that's like I pointed out.
This team's not going to do a lot of winning this year, which means you can't be trying to put out a fire after every press conference for the next 3 months. That's how a team with a coach with a bad record can turn into a coach who gets fired when maybe he shouldn't.
Right. I agree with you 100%. Just say what you say and be done with it. That's it. Move on. I said what I said. We're done. And I mean, look, I tweeted out earlier, right? Nobody talks about Andy Reid. Not one person talks about Andy Reid. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
Rasheed Rice got arrested. One of their guys got arrested for domestic violence. You had the Harrison Butker comments who were guys were all over the place all summer long. His guys were making headlines all summer. Nobody talks about Andy Reid's got a problem in the locker room. What's going on in Kansas City? Nobody talks about that. Why do they not talk about that? Because they win. Georgia's got guys getting arrested every weekend. They don't care about that down in Athens. You know why? Because they're freaking good. Who cares? And so, like, when you win, that stuff doesn't matter. When you don't win, that stuff really, really, really matters. And people don't remember Terry Glenn back in 2001. They don't. They might not. They don't. Okay? Terry Glenn in 2001 was a malcontent. He didn't want to be here, didn't want to play for Belichick, wasn't happy. I did want to play for the Patriots, right? There was a whole thing. There's a whole thing with Terry Glenn. This happened all year long. He got suspended twice, missed some games and then eventually got traded. And he was their best offensive player, allegedly. I mean, he was there like playmaking wide receiver, right? Got drafted in the first round in 96. And so like, he then became that, he was that malcontent, and the Patriots finally said, get the hell out of here. Like, see you later. And so, that's what Mayo has to do. Mayo has to stand up there and say, Jalen Polk, shut your goddamn mouth or get the hell out of here. KJ Osborne, you suck. Are you like, shut up, dude? Are you serious? Like, get out. Now, I do think him posting that, I think, was fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with him posting the conversation about him being a healthy scratch on Wednesday and then playing on Sunday. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I do think that then he follows it up with more. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, just stop talking.
There's a lot
I don't know.
Yeah. That's, this is all the stuff that's like, nobody cares if it's happening if you're winning, but you're not. And
right.
Does it matter? I'm not really sure. I'm not in the locker room every day. I can't tell you if this really has an impact one way or the other on the culture right now, or if it's just, a couple of annoyed guys venting.
Right.
But you don't need the extra media attention. So I think if you're Gerard Mayo, you're going to find yourself in a lot better position with your job going forward if you are able to have less of this negative stuff. And that's the thing, like the bigger picture with Mayo and all these guys, you're investing in guys young, trying to develop them. I don't think anyone expected Gerard Mayo to come in and be the best coach in the NFL week 1. The idea was that with his history, his knowledge as a player, as a businessman, and as a football coach, by year 2, year 3, year 4, he will really grow into the role. So like that's, I have issues with him. We can get into the football stuff after we do an ad break or whatever in here.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that he's done that isn't, unfixable or anything.
Right.
He's made what are mostly little mistakes in a tough media market that's going to blow them out of proportion with a team that isn't very good. All correctable.
Yeah.
So, he has to be better. That's very clear. You're not firing him now. I think it would take a historically awful season for him to get fired this year. Like if they don't win again this year, he's pretty decent chance he's going to be out of a job because you just don't see one-win coaches keep their jobs very often, regardless of the hiring circumstance. They win a couple more games. He's going to be back next year.
Right.
And you take the offseason to learn, grow, develop, better yourself.
100%. Yeah.
If it still looks and sounds like this at this point next season, it's going to be a very different conversation.
100%. 100%. Look, in my opinion, he has this, right? But, he has this year. But next year, if it looks like this next year, then we got a real issue with Mayo. I got a real issue with Elliott Wolf. And so we'll see what happens. Also, and I know Nagan is just trolling us because that's what he does. But that might be the dumbest comment of the night. Head coaches got to earn it. Mayo didn't. Hey, tell me what Dan Campbell did to earn his spot. Go ahead. Tell me what Dan Campbell did. Tell me what Mike McDonald, the youngest coach in the NFL, did to earn his spot. Tell me what the kid, McDaniel. Tell me what he did to earn his spot in Miami, right? Oh, he's a cool guy with sunglasses. Good for him. He talks like a pothead. Like, that's what he did to earn that spot, right? Gerard Mayo was the defensive coordinator, in Bill Belichick's words. I'm using Bill Belichick's words. The number 1 rush defense in the league, yards per carry last year. Who was the defense coordinator of that team? Oh, right, Gerard Mayo. Who was the defense coordinator the year before when they were pretty good? Oh, right, Gerard Mayo. He's been here for the last 5 years as the defense coordinator. The last few, he went to – did he go to Houston? He went somewhere, and I think that was Houston when they hired D'Amico Ryans, and he absolutely knocked the interview out of the park. They loved him. They almost hired him, and they ended up hiring D'Amico Ryans. But there was like chatter about Gerard Mayo was like the next big head coach. This is the guy. And they were talking about that the year before.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think the idea of being qualified to be an NFL head coach is kind of nonsensical because we see successful coaches all the time come from all kinds of different backgrounds. John Harbaugh was just like a special teams coordinator.
Right.
Dan Campbell came up as like a tight ends.
He's a tight ends coach. Right.
like typically it's tight ends coach to offensive coordinator, but he just skipped a step and went right to head coach. And you also have guys who have been in the league for a long time, who've been successful head coaches who like still fail, who are as qualified as it can possibly get and don't work out.
Right. 100%.
Hiring coaches is in a lot of ways very much a vibes thing, and it kind of has to be, because you can't point to a win-loss record and say you can't point to one offensive statistic and say that's what makes him. Because how many times do you see guys like, oh, this guy coached the best offense in the league, and he becomes a head coach, and 3 years later they've won 6 games, they didn't develop a quarterback, and he's out of a job. That happens every cycle, it seems like. So, like, I don't know. Gerard Mayo is qualified for an NFL head coaching job. We know this because multiple owners were interested in hiring him to be an NFL head coach. Like, that's really all you need to know. And
for multiple years, the Patriots gave him a bump last year because they wanted to keep him around because someone else was going to hire him. Like, I mean, this is what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, it's just foolish. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? In no way am I saying Gerard Mayo is going to be a great head coach. In no way am I saying I love Gerard Mayo and Gerard Mayo is the long-term answer at head coach for this team. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we don't know if he's the long-term answer or not. We're 7 games in, right? And so if it continues, as we said, if it continues like this for another year, then we're looking at saying, okay, all right, this isn't working, right? But, like, let's give him some time, please, to, like, figure things out, you know?
Well, and there has to be – this is the thing that's frustrating about the way social media, I think, has altered the discussion here. You're either for Mayo or you're against Mayo. And there's no lane in there that is Mayo is doing things that I don't think are the best decisions for this team right now, on and off the field. And also, we're 7 games in, you're hiring him to develop him as a head coach as well in here. And there is plenty of time for him to grow and get better at these things. And if he doesn't, he's going to get fired because
100%.
he's not going to be very good. And if he does, then we're going to be glad we kept him. It's going to be kind of a moving target as to what it would take for him or for any of these guys to lose their jobs. And there's going to be different standards, I think, for the fans versus what Robert Kraft wants. Which we'll have to consider here. But, you know, it's hard to know until, like, we get a full season's worth of work. I will say, I think last week against Jacksonville and this week against the Jets are a big 1-2 punch for me personally, and how I'm going to be evaluating how he does, and not doing so hot right now, which is a concern.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're going to get a full season here before we have to evaluate. And I hesitate to express an opinion too strong in one direction or the other when we will still have 9 more games, I believe, if I have my math right. Before we have to.
You are correct. Yes, you are correct. After the Jets game, 9 more games. Yes.
Yes. Oh, so 10 more games. Math's hard.
So 10 more games now. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to get more information before we have to make a decision. So I think we can. There's a lane for saying he's not doing well enough right now, and let's see if he gets better. You know who else stunk at the media portion very early on in his career? That's Bill Belichick. He got in a lot of hot water immediately.
No way.
In Cleveland with the quarterback decisions there. It's a learning experience. This is his first year at it. We all know that people do get better at things with time and experience, at least some of the time. So he's going to get it. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Hopefully it works.
100%. 100%. And I just think, that to me, that's the one thing for me. And again, you can not like Gerard Mayo if you want, I guess. That's fine. But, again, for you to just say that, it's over, just fire him. It's kind of stupid. It's just kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's okay. That, yeah. I think it's reasonable to say if things look like this at the end of the season, I think he should go. I think that's fine. I think that's a rational opinion at this point. I might not agree, but I get it.
Right.
Calling for a midseason firing 7 games in, I think just isn't.
It's kind of silly, right? If he can't rein in the locker room at some point, right, and you keep getting responses from guys, and you keep kind of the Jalen Polk stuff is weird to me. If you keep having stuff like that, like that's, then I think it's, again, like you say, it's reasonable to kind of be like, okay, maybe this didn't work. But right now, I mean, come on, it's just kind of silly. So,
Yeah.
do we want
we want to
before?
do-
So before we go to the ad break, I know you want to talk about the coaching staff, and we're going to do that. We forgot on Sunday to mention the 2-point conversion. Can we just do
we
some
can.
2-point conversion math, like really quick?
Oh, there's two 2-point conversion things I think we got to talk about here.
You talking about
Well, no, we
well,
forgot
one in the Patriots game and one in the other game?
No, both in the Patriots game. One was a penalty. Um, we could talk.
Oh, you're saying that gave them the 2-point conversion.
Yes.
Right. Well, I mean, that's just a bad play. I mean,
It's, we can to address that real quick. Jaguars get an extra point because you go offsides on a PAT. It was Tavai. And you got Hunter Henry, the false start in there, Dietrich Wise with offsides.
Right.
At some point, Buckle Wendu, I think, had a holding. Could be wrong. False start.
Right. Yeah, it's just I
don't like the penalties. It's not good. When it's your veterans and leaders and captains who are making them, I'm kind of at a loss. That could be coaching, that even your best players aren't prepared. It could be the team stinks. These guys feel like they have extra pressure, and that's getting to them. It could be just the fact that one thing we've known about this team for a while, one of the reasons they've struggled is that their best players just haven't been good enough for it. And one of the reasons their best players haven't been good enough for it is committing penalties. But yeah, tough to come away from a game like this. And it's, if you went out there and it's your young players committing penalties, you can say, okay, it's a development thing.
Yeah,
it's the old guys who played for a long time under Belichick. I don't know what to say.
Those are things that you just can't have, and so just brain farts, unfortunately, that you don't like to see. And so hopefully that fixes itself up. We'll see. But the one I was talking about here was Patriots going for 2. They're down 15 points. They score. Now you're down by 9. And okay, you're down by 9. Do you kick the extra point? Do you go for 2? 8 minutes left to go in the game. I think roughly 8 minutes left to go in the game. Patriots decide to go for 2. They don't get it. Okay. I saw just a million people online. That's so stupid, and Mayo's so dumb, and what are they doing, and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And I can understand the point. And part of my take, I thought did a really nice job of kind of going through and explaining it. And they said, in this instance, I think kind of both sides of it can be right. I think that
if you get the 2-point conversion, then it doesn't matter when you do it. You're going to be
that's
right.
The thing. Correct. Right. Here's the deal, right? If you miss, you lose. Whether you miss then, okay, then you need 2 possessions. That sucks. You're probably going to lose. If you get the ball, here's the biggest thing, and this is kind of what I was talking. I was talking to a few friends about this on Monday, and I said, look, if you kick the extra point to go down 8, exact same thing happens. You get the ball with 4 minutes left to go in the game. What do you do? What are you trying to do on that last possession? You're trying to kill the whole clock and score with 30 seconds left on the clock, right?
And if you don't get it,
you lose. Game's over, right? Game's over. You're done. And so, for me, when you go for 2 early, you give 2 advantages. Number one, if you get it, that's a big boost for you and your momentum, in my opinion. Number 2, if you don't get it, now you know what you need. So you know you need 2 possessions as opposed to 1, right? And now, if there's 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left or something like that, I can see kicking the extra point. I can see that, right? Because you know you're only going to get the ball back 1 time. We'll go for it at the end, if that's the case, right? But in this case, there's enough time left that I think you look at it and say, there's a chance we can get 2 possessions out of this.
Can I be honest in this whole thing? I don't want to sound too condescending here.
Yeah.
But this was something, forget analytics or any magic words like that. This is something that was intuitive to me at 8 years old learning about football. That oh, okay. If you're going to need a 2-point conversion at some point when you're trying to pull a comeback, you want to do it as early as you can. So if you miss it, you know how many more points you need. That just intuitive. It's to the point where I remember being 8 years old, still to now watching football. When I see a team, let's say if the score is 14-6 and it's the second quarter, and the team that has 6 points scores a touchdown, is a very different scenario. But like in that spot, I don't get why they're not going for 2 to tie the game. If you're down, or the more likely one here is if you're down 21-6 and it's the second quarter and you get a touchdown, you should be going for 2 then. Like, the earlier you can do it, the better, because it gives you more information to plan out the way you want to attack future drives.
Right.
There's no matter what, you will have to get a 2-point conversion in any of these scenarios. So the sooner you do it, the better, so that you can find out if you're going to need to get another one later, or manage possessions, or whatever it is. And the flip side of this is that, no matter how you come down, you have to get one. They didn't execute. I will say, I don't know if this is in Jalen Polk's defense or not, I noticed him slipping multiple times on the tape.
Yeah.
So, like, a little on him for maybe not having the right cleats for the game. But also, he may have been playing through a concussion. And, 2, it seemed like the grass was slippery. And, like, I don't know, there was a play earlier where I saw Patriots defender. Oh, it was the 2-point conversion the Patriots gave up on the pass to Brian Thomas Jr.
Got it.
Gonzo slipped on the paint in the end zone. And I don't remember the Jalen Polk play off the top of my head, but like, did he slip on the paint on the goal line there? I don't know. Maybe you get unlucky. I think he's been a little unlucky in this stretch as part of it. And like, I don't know. If he doesn't slip, that's almost definitely a good 2-point conversion. And then the score's 25-18 when the Jaguars get the ball back next. None of us are talking about the decision.
100%.
So if the outcome changes the way we're talking about the decision, it feels like no one's actually mad about the decision. We're mad about the outcome. We're mad the 2-point conversion didn't work.
Correct. Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to, right? And I can see the other side of it, that you say mentally you want to be within 1 score. So like mentally look at it and say, okay, we're within 1 score still. I like that idea. I think people are going to, respond well to that. We put more pressure on the other team because we're only down by 1 score instead of 2, and blah blah blah. Fine, that's okay if that's what you want. If that's how you feel about that, I guess that's fine. But I don't know. We'll see. I think it's an interesting situation.
Well, the other thing here is that, let's say you go for it early and you get it in that situation there. That gives you more options for going forward. So if you're down by 7, depending on when you get the ball back, you can be more aggressive with your time and try to go down the field quickly, score a tie, and intentionally leave time on the clock. 3 minutes left in the game because you think you can get a stop, get the ball back, and go win it in regulation. The other thing he gives you the option to do in a game like this, especially a game where your defense is struggling and you haven't been able to stop the run, if you get that first 2-point conversion and you're down by 7, you score a touchdown there, it gives you the opportunity to go for 2 at the end of regulation if you like your odds of getting a second 2-point conversion better than of just winning it in overtime.
True.
Which, depending on how your offense is playing, how their defense is playing, schematically what you've got in the bag, and how, like, if you don't think your defense is going to be able to get the stop you need in overtime, you have the chance. This gives you the chance.
Although I think
to go for a win in regulation.
I think in that situation though, you probably would feel okay about it because you've gotten a stop to get the ball back to the time. You know what I mean?
Potentially, yeah. And it's all about giving options to the coaching staff. Maybe they saw something on tape with the Jaguars and they know, hey, we got a couple 2-point conversion plays that we like this week because we really don't think they have an answer for it.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
You go in saying, hey, if we get a chance to go for 2, we're going to be aggressive because we think we can get them on it and get an extra point here. So, yeah.
That's a good point.
They also didn't execute.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I also do think there was another 2-point conversion in the Chiefs-Niners game. Niners score a touchdown. They're down 14-6. They score a touchdown to make it 14-12. It's the start of the third quarter, so there's still 10 minutes left to go in the third quarter. In my opinion, I would have liked to have seen them go for 2 to tie it. Not that it really matters, but I also think like it could matter. So what do? They attempt the PAT. He misses the PAT. So now you're still down 14-12. Of course, you end up losing by 10, but like I just thought that was interesting where I was like, I feel like you should have gone for the 2-point there. Not that it really makes that much of a difference, but it kind of does, especially if it's the Chiefs. I kind of like the idea of going for 2 there and putting a little pressure on your opponent, and tying that, having an opportunity to tie the game. You're still down by 1 score no matter what. What difference does 1 point or 2 points make? Doesn't matter, really. You know what I mean? So,
but if you get the 2 point, you're not down at all.
Right. And that's the way I look at it.
The worst case scenario is you're still within a possession, and the best case is the game is tied now.
Correct.
Why are you not going? And the team should be way more aggressive going for 2, in my opinion, especially if you have like a quarterback you really like or plays you really like. You look at somebody like Drake Maye, who's a weapon in the red zone with the way he can run the ball, who is mobile and can create plays out of structure and extend plays.
Yeah.
You have a quarterback like that. If the play you call doesn't work, he can extend it and find something that does.
Right.
So I would personally lean more towards going for 2 if you're confident in the rest of your offense as a general thing. Do it early in the game to try to push for an 8-point lead at some point, things like that, and put some onus, put some pressure on the other team.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into an ad read, and then we'll talk about the coaching staff. So here's my ad read, of course, is for Prize Picks. So Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks, again, as they said, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. It also is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineups live. That's a huge benefit for you. Sometimes that just happens, right? Guys get hurt, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And so, anyways, my pick this week, though, my lineup this week is going to be, I'm riding Drake Maye again. I'm doing it again. Riding Drake Maye again, 2 weeks in a row, going for a third. Drake Maye with more than 214.5 passing yards, and Saquon Barkley with more than 79.5 rushing yards against the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, please. So what you're going to do is you're going to download Prize Picks. You're going to put in the promo code CLNS. And with your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 instantly. Okay? You don't have to win that $5 lineup. You just have to play a $5 lineup, and they'll give you $50 instantly. So again, you can download Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and you get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, so let's get into the coaching staff. We were a little positive. I wanted to start with a little bit of positivity for the team. There's a lot to be negative about and a lot to feel negative about as well. So Matt, you're a little frozen there, but
can you see me now?
Now you're back. Let's get into some of those negatives.
Yeah, I hope I'm getting the Wi-Fi signal on this.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Hopefully I'm staying put here. You can actually see and hear me. But yeah, so my initial tape watch when we did our post-game show, I said that I thought a lot of the blame was just on the players for the way things went against Jacksonville. And after rewatching the tape, man, I got some serious questions about what this team is doing defensively. So one of the first things that caught my eye was that Jaguars were able to get big runs off of RPOs. So what they would do is run the bubble RPO, which means you're going to have 3 receivers to one side, and the nearest slot receiver, in this case it was actually the tight end, Evan Engram, is going to do a bubble screen with the 2 guys blocking for him. And you could do that, or you can hand the ball off. Every single time, at least second, third quarter, when the Jaguars were running this, Patriots are going to go out there and line up in some kind of cover 2, safeties deep off the ball. Jaguars are getting into this call, and they're going to run this, and the safety on that side is going to the screen. The linebacker on that side is going to the screen. The edge defender on that side is going to the screen, and there's a gaping hole in the defense. Jags did it 4 different times. 3 of them were in the red zone. they're just able to get these chunk plays on the ground. You're making it too easy. You're putting these are the types of things you could try to execute when you've got Jawan Bentley and Christian Barmore, because they eat up so much space on the field. The next guys up can't execute this. Do not put them in this position. Why are you putting them in this position? We saw this, one of the sequences that really irritated me. There's a Jaguars get backed up into a 2nd and 11 early in the second half. And the Patriots show a soft cover 2. So what do the Jaguars do? They throw a quick screen to the side. Patriots defense really plays it as well as they could. I think it got 6 yards on the play, 7 yards on the play, something like that. So you've turned 2nd and long into 3rd and doable. Then the Patriots do what the Patriots like to do on 3rd down, and they show one of their aggressive blitz looks with their other defenders off the ball or all around where the first down marker is. And the Jaguars just go into another quick screen, and the Patriots defenders played as well as they can. But by the time that everybody has gotten to where the ball is, he's 4 or 5 yards down the field, and he's picked up the first. He's moved the chains.
Yeah.
So these guys are not in a good position there. Another thing that I thought was particularly egregious was late in the fourth quarter. This was after the failed 2-point conversion. So that it's 2 possessions. Your defense needs to stop. The Jaguars know it's 2 possessions. Pat, here's a question for you. There's 6 minutes left in the game. You're up by 2 possessions. You have the ball. What type of plays are you calling?
You know what I might do? I might do a play action deep pass. No, I'm gonna run the ball down your throat, especially if I've been running it all game long.
And the Pats are going out there in, they're spinning the dial with the safeties and playing cover 2 where there's a lighter box.
Right.
And the Jaguars were able to pick up like 25, 30 yards on the drive, move the clock, and then punt and force you back deep into your own territory.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? We all know what's going to happen. And you know what? If you play aggressively to the run and they beat you over the top, they beat you over the top. That happens. Right. You have to try to be aggressive against the run there. And the Jaguars, a lot of the time, seemed like when the Patriots had one safety in the box, they'd almost run at the safety because they knew that we were going to spin the dial, and that safety is running away from the play, and you're just going to have a lane there. So you're putting yourself in all these situations where the other team wants to run or could run, and you're not gaps out. Right. And that's like high school stuff. There's no excuse for this. I do not know why the coaching staff is sticking with it. The Patriots they run cover 2 zone at one of the highest rates in the league. It's not working. This is another reason why Jelani Tavai looks so bad, because you play standard cover 2 zones or some cover 3 zones in there. He got beat on 2, and you're asking him to cover slot receivers in the middle of the field. Of course he can't do that. You can only play this if you're going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback to disrupt him so he doesn't have the time to wait for people to get through the zones. And he can't rush the passer because they only have one guy who's a really good pass rusher in Keon White, and the only other guy is Joshua Uche, who he can't put out there a lot of the time because he can't defend the run. I don't know what we're doing. Like, this team, the way that they want to call this defense does not match the personnel that they have right now. They are not putting them in the best positions. It should be a lot more single high. It should be more man coverage. It should be more safeties in the box for them. The other thing is like defensive tackles aren't good enough. Daniel Akwai, actually, I was surprised, had a really good game watching the tape. Godshaw, I thought was good for the most part, but had one really bad run loss in a critical situation in the second half. Jaquel and Roy had some really nice moments, but also, a particularly egregious run loss in the second half. And like a lot of the plays where I thought Jelani Tavai didn't play well, he didn't. You'd like him to make a better play, but they're in these spots where you're not gap sound. So, by the way, when I say gap sound, I'll explain this term because you might hear this in football and not everybody knows it. The offense has basically all the gaps between the offensive line. So between the center and the guard is the A gap on either side. Then the B gap outside of that, the C gap outside of that. If you got tight ends and stuff in the D, E gap, whatever. Defensively, if you think the other team can run, it's not a passing situation. You want to make sure you have enough players in the box around the line of scrimmage so that you can account for every single one of those gaps.
Right.
So in theory, at least, any run can be stopped if your players execute it. You can get around to this. The Patriots have in the past because Christian Barmore can 2-gap. He's really good, which means he can cover 2 gaps at the same time. Jawan Bentley can erase gaps from existence with how hard he hits people, which makes it easier for you. Devine can't do that. Devine Godreau is good. He's just not that elite of a 2-gapping nose tackle type guy. So if you're light in the box, you don't have enough guys. You're asking these guys to do things they can't do. They end up looking awful because they're trying to do these things and they're just not that type of player.
Right.
And I don't get it. So like if this is a DeMarcus Covington thing, Gerard, step in and change this. If this is a Gerard Mayo thing, dude, what are you doing? Change this. You have to switch this up to some degree.
Yeah. I mean, it just, so that's what can be concerning because we know Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. We know that, right? We get that. Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time, right? He was a defensive genius and mastermind, right? We also know that the Patriots are incredibly short-handed right now. Mm-hmm. You don't have Christian Barmore, your best defensive lineman. You don't have Jawan Bentley, your best linebacker. You don't have Jabril Peppers, maybe your best safety, if not your best safety, certainly your second best safety. And I would say 1B with Kyle Duggar. So all 3 of those guys are out indefinitely. Bentley for the year, probably Barmore for the year, and Peppers, we'll see if he ever comes back. Duggar's been banged up. He might still be banged up as far as we know. No idea. But at the very least, you have to scheme stuff correctly. Even if the guys aren't out there, if you can look at the tape and say, hey, man, we lined up 11 on 11, and their 11 is just flat out just better than our 11. And we're in the right spots, and we're trying to make the right play. We just can't do it. Mm-hmm. Then you can at least look at it and say, hey, man, we're shorthanded. What are you going to do? But when it's stupid stuff like that, when it's things like not being able to identify that you're just going to keep running that RPO, and maybe we should leave a few guys in the box, right? If it's not understanding what's going on, right? The end of the game, they want to run the ball. Oh, wow, really? Okay. If it's things like that, we have to look at it and say, what the hell are we doing? That's not the players. That's the coaches don't have them prepared.
I will give the coaches a little bit of credit here. The RPO issue that I talked about, they figure it out by the end of the game.
Right.
But it was
too late.
It was way too little too late. Like Kyle Duggar made some really fantastic plays on it, so had some great recognition on it.
Right.
But it's just too, and it's, it's just a coaching thing of like guys not knowing where there's like who their assignment are. There's a lot of issues with like linebackers and defensive tackles not knowing which gaps they have. If you like plays where I think one of the running touchdowns the Jaguars had was a play where like the defensive tackle is lined up in the B gap, but shooting into the A gaps. He's crossing over the guard towards where the center is. But the linebacker who's behind him is also doing the same thing. So you have enough players for both of those gaps, but you're just abandoning it. You got 2 guys in the A gap and no one in the B gap, and the Jaguars run through the B gap into the end zone.
Right.
It's on the players. It's also on the coaches, because if the linebackers and the defensive tackles are not aligned on how this is supposed to work when they're playing the run, you're not gonna have a good time. And if you got guys who are losing blocks, that's fine. This team's not that good. They're down to backups on a lot of these spots. That's gonna happen. You can't also be losing in addition to that because guys are running themselves out of position.
Right. No, it's true. And so look, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but you want to see better certainly out of the defensive coaching. I think the offensive coaching, again, it hasn't been great, okay? But Drake Maye looks pretty damn good. Now, I'm not saying that it's all on the coaches that Drake Maye looks pretty damn good, but the coaches have something to do with it, right? I mean, they are partly responsible for Drake Maye looking so good this early in the year. That's a fact. And so, you have to give them their flowers to an extent. Do I wish that they were doing more? Do I also hate the fact that, Kayshon Boutte comes out and says, I had to ask for those 2 deep balls? What does that even mean? Like, he said, throw the ball deep to me, I'm open. Like what? He went up to AVP and said, "You're not throwing the ball deep. Throw it deep to me." Like I don't know. Kind of feels like I can get my guy. Maybe we should throw it deep. Like you know what I mean?
It's tough because what Keyshawn Boutte said can mean and be translated into a number of different things on the sideline. Anything from the players all going to the coaches, correcting them on things, to him saying to the coach, "Hey, I'm beating him. Can we get a deep shot on this because I can win it?" Which is that's like a normal football thing. And the other one's a mutiny, and it can fall anywhere in between.
Right. The other, dude, Pop Douglas the week before he was mic'd up, and he's sitting on the sideline saying, "Man, I got this guy, man. I fake inside, fake outside, and bam, I'm in the inside, and I'll see you in the end zone." And then next thing you know, he scores a touchdown. Was anyone sitting there saying, "AVP can't coach, dude," because he had to tell him to run across it? Like, what are we talking about, dude?
Good coaching is listening to the feedback from the players. It just, the thing we don't know is, how the process for it is, because if this is the type of thing where, they're getting feedback during the week and they're ignoring it until game day, that's an issue. I thought most of the game was good for Maye and for Alex Van Pelt, and they just had a couple issues at key times. Was there the untimely penalties? A really bad false start from Hunter Henry at one point in there, which was tough for them. There were just third, fourth year in a row now where we got issues with guys running routes with spacing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
which is tough because it's like, I don't know how much to blame on the coaches, because we coach keep changing and this is still an issue, even though it's different players. So let's give that a little time to work out.
100%.
See if that's better by the end of the year. I might choose Alex Van Pelt, but I think one of the things that struck me in Gerard Mayo's press conference today that I didn't like is he was asked about what role he takes in all this.
Yeah,
and he clearly sees himself as the CEO head coach type, who is taking information from all of his coordinators and kind of viewing it from a higher level. And I would prefer, with his history, that he get in a little bit more with the defense, get involved with them from a technique perspective. You're a linebacker. You're a linebacker's coach. These are linebackers are the ones blowing assignments at some points in here. Don't be afraid to get in on that and correct these guys and get, make sure that things are right there. And also, Alex Van Pelt isn't some super fancy name or anything like that. He has a history of this. You can let him be head coach of the offense and things are going to go okay. And maybe you reevaluate later, but the crisis area very quickly has become the defense.
Absolutely.
And Mayo, that's your area of expertise. That is where you are needed right now. And the fact that his response was kind of playing that CEO middleman, I'm just going to oversee everything and work in all phases thing, I don't necessarily love that, especially ahead of a week 3 rematch, or a rematch for the week 3 game with the Jets. Your defense got completely torn apart by Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Jets haven't won a game since then. That offense hasn't looked like that since then. Now they're playing.
Well, really before then.
Yeah. The defense hasn't changed really since then. I see, we haven't talked about the game this Sunday at all. I know all the negatives that have gone on in New York, but I see no reason from what we've seen in New England's tape that the Jets are going to do anything but, it's going to be the same thing again. If the Patriots go out there and play that same defense,
they're going to get killed.
Defense, and you can't rush the passer. So if you play zone, Aaron Rodgers is going to spread you out, pick the matchups he wants, and then deliver the ball on time and slice and dice you all the way down the field. He doesn't have it all with his arm anymore. He doesn't have it all with his legs anymore. He has it mentally. And you can't make it easy on him. And then
he has right. And he has Adams and Garrett Wilson now. So
and that's the issue they had the first game is the Jets are going to run the ball on you. So then you're going to put your big guys in there. And the second you put the big guys in there, it's like Keon White comes out. All right, that's Anthony Jennings and 3 defensive tackles trying to rush the passer while you're playing spot drop, like Madden level zone coverage.
Right.
Behind
no chance.
With Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback. Yeah, you have no chance. So it has to be different. And I said before why these 2 weeks were important for me in evaluating Mayo. Week 1 of this, the Jaguars game, was the chance to kind of fix some of the issues with travel that they seem to have and turnaround time they seem to have earlier in the year. He doesn't get a passing grade for me on that right now. Not with players talking about them having issues with getting ready for an early game. All right, Now, this is the second one. This is your first time you're playing a rematch this year. This is the first time you're seeing a team for the second time. I don't need you to win. You don't have better players than the Jets do. You're 7-point underdogs in this game for a reason. I don't care if you win. I care that the game is closer than the first one.
More competitive.
You need to show that you have made adjustments and that you're trying something different out there to try to make this defense work right now. Because if you go out there, you play the same thing, you get gashed again on your home turf. I'm sorry, but what do you do here, Gerard Maye?
Right.
The defensive head coach, and the same defense for 8 weeks and it's getting killed every time.
Well, and I think too, like, you want to be that CEO coach. And what that means is giving space to your OC and your DC and your offensive coach and your defensive coaches. You're saying, all right, I trust that you can handle this. But then at a certain point, when they're not handling it, you need to say, hey, let me just give you a hand. I know you can do it, but like, I'm going to step in and help out too. And that's what I'd like to see from him. I don't know if that's what we're going to get, but that's what I'd like to see from him. So, all right, let's get into your ad read, and then we'll just do our picks and get the heck out of here.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm here to talk to you guys about game time today. NBA season is back. You saw the atmosphere at the Garden as the Celtics won the opener with 29 3-pointers against the Knicks, and they're going to be back in that building soon. Yeah, next Monday as the season gets underway here. With Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, you can get tickets to see your favorite team, Boston Celtics, play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Let's talk about next game the Celtics play next Monday, and they are hosting the Bucks. A big Eastern Conference rivalry right there. And I'm looking at the map. It's very easy to find the cheapest tickets on here. They're going to highlight them for you right away. You can get in for the cheapest price right now is $115. $112. And that's not bad. For a game like this, that's fantastic. You're going to see all the cheapest seats are starred for you, all the super deals around the map. You got a couple different seats for $112. Actually, they got different zones with deals that they're going to highlight for you. They got value pick highlighted with a flame. It makes it super easy to find all these features. All in pricing. Price you see is the price that you're going to pay. You can see the view from your seat, and you have the lowest price guarantee, or they're going to credit you with 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
All right. Love it. Nice. Okay.
Going over our picks from last week?
Let's do it. Let's go over the picks from last week, and then we will we'll go over our picks from this week.
Yeah. All right. Week 7. We each went 3-2.
Yep.
Big whiff on Thursday Night Football there.
Just feel so dumb after that one, dude.
Yeah. Split the Sunday afternoon games. Got the two primetime games there. Sunday night, Monday Night Football. Correct.
Yeah. Yep. I felt good about that Ravens one. Man, the Bucks are just tough luck for the Bucks, dude. With Evans and Godwin both out. Whew, it's rough, dude. Godwin, of course, done for the year, and Evans done for. It looks like at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's a tough spot there. Steelers getting a truly hilarious win over the Jets on Sunday Night Football that we both called. So
good.
To us for that one.
So good.
Let's take a look at Week 8. Pat, you still have a 2-game lead on me right now. You're 25-10. I'm 23-12. Our 5 games on the docket this week. We've got Thursday Night Football, Vikings at Rams. 1:00 game on Sunday, Eagles at Bengals. 4:00 game, Bills at Seahawks. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at 49ers, and somehow Monday Night Football, Giants at Steelers.
Again.
Yeah, let's go to the Thursday night game. Vikings at Rams. How do you see it going, Pat?
Well, interestingly enough, Matt, it is impossible for you to catch me this week because we have 4 picks are the same, and only one pick is different for us. So that's interesting.
See things the same way this week.
Yep. So, and I think rightfully so. The Rams are getting Cooper Kupp back. He's off the injury report. I think that's huge for Matthew Stafford. That's big for Cooper Kupp. That's big for a few of my fantasy teams, which have Cooper Kupp on it. But it's not going to be enough to beat the Vikings. The Vikings are a really good team. I know they lost last week to the Lions, but Vikings all the way for me on this one.
Yeah, right there with you. I think this is a really good bounce back opportunity for them on a short week to just flip the script. And I think this will be a very entertaining game. I'm curious to see how these teams go up against one another, but the Rams obviously have dealt with a lot of injuries, and I think the Vikings are just a better team at this point.
Right. Next up, Eagles at Bengals. It's a tough one for me. The Eagles, of course, looked really good last weekend against the Giants. The Giants suck, but still, they looked really good. Their offense might finally start to be clicking with Saquon back there and Jalen Hurts and stuff. Can't do it, though. Can't do it. Picking the Bengals. I know their defense hasn't been great, but their offense has been so good lately. And so I'm going Bengals here over the Eagles.
Yeah, battle here between two of the four teams in the NFL who don't have their primary logo on their helmet. How's that for you?
Look at that.
Also taking the Bengals. Yeah, I don't trust the Eagles right now, and I also don't trust the Bengals. I think the Eagles are going to run a lot in this game.
Yeah,
but that Eagles secondary and defense is really hit or miss. And the weapons that the Bengals have, I think they'll be able to score here. I think this will end up being a pretty interesting game.
I think so too.
Yeah,
we certainly could be wrong with this one too. I could certainly see it going the other way. But
Bill said Bills Seahawks here.
Yeah, so the Seahawks are better than people give them credit for. Of course, Patriots almost beat them in week 2. Geno is Geno's Geno sometimes, but he's played well this year. We'll see if DK is 100% healthy for this or not. I just think the Bills are just a wagon. So I'm going Buffalo here.
Yeah, I am right there with you. I think this Bills defense is built to face a team like Seattle's offense primarily. They might struggle defending the run, but I think that they're going to be able to not let Seattle pass on them very well. And then I like the way this Bills offense matches up with the Seattle defense. We'll see how it plays out because this is a really good test of where Seattle is. They just traded for name is escaping me, but is it David Long, the linebacker from Tennessee? They shipped off Jerome Baker. Got a linebacker from Tennessee there. So we'll see how the Seahawks defense looks. Team's a little bit healthier now, so maybe they're able to make this a close game. Sunday Night Football. Yeah, we talked about injuries at points in this thing. 49ers are in awful shape. What Ayuk's done for the year.
Yep.
Deebo Samuel hospitalized with pneumonia. I saw.
Yeah, not good. Not good.
McCaffrey not back. Kittle banged up.
Yep.
I don't know who's taking the field for San Francisco.
Brock
and also
Purdy
Dallas.
Someone else, I guess.
Yeah. This game looked interesting over the offseason, and now it's like both of these teams are just in really, really rough spots.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. How do you think this goes?
So, interestingly enough, I'm going to give you a little stats here there, Matt. Coming off the bye, Dallas had a bye last week. Coming off the bye, Mike McCarthy, 12-5 in his career coming off the bye, and 3-1 with the Cowboys coming off the bye. I'm predicting he goes 4-1 off the bye and beats the 49ers on the road. Talk about mentally soft. The Cowboys are a mentally soft team, so I could certainly see them losing this game. I just think with all the injuries with the Niners, the Cowboys typically play well after that bye. Like I said, I think that they can go into San Fran and win this game.
Yeah. I think you make a lot of good points, but there's no way I'm betting against the 49ers in this rivalry right now, even with all the injuries. The way they've had Dallas's number, they always seem to find something, and San Francisco has the better coach here, and I think that'll be the difference.
Yep. No, I can certainly see that happening too. So this is one of those ones where like you hold your nose and pick the Cowboys. Like I hold my nose and pick the Cowboys because like they stink. But I think that the Niners are in rough shape right now.
It's a thankless job picking the Cowboys.
Sure is. You got that right. So that means that's our one difference. So we know we're picking the same team here. Who are we picking here? Giants at Steelers on Monday Night Football. We're picking the Steelers, obviously. Russell Wilson. We let Russ cook last weekend. I thought it was a huge mistake with them putting him back in the game. I thought that was crazy. for taking out Justin Fields and putting in Russell Wilson. I was wrong. Russell Wilson was really good. Was slinging the ball over the field against the Jets. I mean, Chris Collinsworth couldn't stop talking about it, but who knows? But I thought he did a really nice job on Sunday night. George Pickens was like active and involved and catching passes left and right and looked awesome. But I thought that there was a really nice job by Tomlin. By the way, talk about a player's coach. Like Mike Tomlin is a perfect guy. That he's a player's coach. All the guys love him. He works them like dogs, and he says shit in the media about them sometimes, and all the guys love him. And so it's just an interesting scenario with Mike Tomlin, another guy that really wasn't qualified for that job. And I don't know. Tomlin's an interesting case because he's been over 500 forever, but they haven't won anything in a long time either. So it's one of those weird things where you I don't know, but I'll tell you what, man, Najee Harris is running so well right now. And the kid that I loved, I keep wanting to say David DeCastro, but the kid from South Dakota from last year South Dakota State, who I loved last year.
McCormick?
Yes, Mason McCormick. See, David DeCastro, it's the double M instead of the double D. That's what throws me off. Mason McCormick is he's playing guard for them right now, and he's so much fun to watch, dude. Every single time that the ball ends up in the middle of the field and he's driving someone, he's throwing someone on the ground, or he's pushing someone right at the end of the whistle, and he's just talking shit in their face. I just love watching that guy play football. And so especially in those the Steelers uniforms and stuff, it's such a hard-nosed, it's the perfect spot for him to go. And so it stuck out to me a little bit about watching the game Sunday. I'm like, oh my God, it's my guy, dude. I wish the Patriots had taken him in the fourth round, but what are you gonna do? So,
yeah.
Anyways, but that's Steelers for me, and obviously for you on Monday Night Football.
I wonder here how the hell this game ended up in Monday Night Football. I get that it's the two markets, but oh my God.
Who wants to watch this game?
Back-to-back Russell Wilson primetime games in 2024.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Daniel Jones in primetime in 2024. Is he playing this week?
What's interesting? Yeah. What's interesting to me is that they played both New York teams. It was the Jets and then the Giants back-to-back weeks. So they're playing. It's New York against Pittsburgh at home back-to-back weeks. It's interesting.
Yeah. What the scheduling guys are up to with this one.
Yeah, I don't love it. So, all right, let's get into our prize picks for the week.
You want to do yours first?
Yeah, I gave mine in the in the ad read, but I'll give it to you again. I'm going with 2 this week because I feel like I always go with 3, and it screws me because I get 2 of them right and 1 of them wrong. I'm sticking with Drake Maye. I'm sticking with him until Drake Maye does me dirty, and even when he does, I'm probably gonna stick with him anyways. But I'm going with Drake Maye for more than 214.5 passing yards. Against the Jets. Jets have a bunch of injuries in the secondary. Sauce Gardner went out for a bit with an injury on Sunday night. He did come back. He is fine. But I think they have a bunch of injuries in that secondary, and I think the Patriots are going to be able to throw it a bit. Also, we mentioned this too because we talked about this game. Saquon Barkley for more than 79.5 rushing yards against that Cincinnati defense. I think they're going to run the heck out of the ball on Sunday, and so I'm taking Saquon, and that's my lineup.
I have pull up my notes here. I mentioned before how I thought the Buffalo run defense might struggle. I've got Kenneth Walker for more than 66.5 rushing yards. I like that one a lot for this week. Then we're taking a Thursday night line here. Justin Jefferson, more than 84.5 receiving yards against the Rams. Rams secondary isn't very good. I don't think they're going to have anyone who can match up with him. It's a short week. Probably not a crazy game plan. Just get it to your guy.
I like that. I like that quite a bit, sir. There you go.
Those are my
All right. I always play both of them. So, and I don't know yours until you give it. So then I'm like, I gotta throw it in as you're reading it off. So
I love it.
Let's see. You've hit a few. I've hit a few. I think I only hit one. You've hit a few though. And so maybe we'll hit them both this week. That'd be nice. So
yeah.
But yeah.
I think that's it. I'm gonna go finish watching this Red Sox documentary.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed so I can wake up. And I've been trying to get every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm trying to get up, do a Peloton ride before school, but that means I got to get up at like 5:15. So it's 11:15 right now. That's 6 hours from now. So
you are a better man than I, Pat. That is sure.
it is. It's just the way it goes, man. It's I got to do something. You know what I mean? So here's what it is. So, anyways, well, thank you for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. We'll be back as always on Sunday. It is a home game. That means we'll be live on Sunday Night Football, halftime of Sunday Night Football on Sunday, breaking down the Patriots against the Jets at home. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the game. Hopefully we get some decent coaching and stuff. I think that the Gillette crowd is going to be very restless, is what I think. I think that if things start going bad, things aren't going to go well. And so,
The flip side of it is this. This is the point in the season last year where they beat the Bills at home.
It's a great point.
It was a game that nobody thought they had a shot at winning.
Was it the last game of this? That was the last win of the season, wasn't it?
No, they won in Pittsburgh. And
they won in Pittsburgh. That's right. I was there. I was at that game.
That's their last home victory, though.
Right. Yeah, true.
And this is that spot in the season. Jets are slumping. You win this game, and you're in a tie for last place in the AFC East now with the Jets. You can bring them down to your level here.
Yeah.
This is a team that is down but not out. You got a chance to take them out right now. You know that they're going to be giving it all they got with the situation. Hassan Reddick might be back. Got a new head coach. We didn't even touch on in this with all the stuff going on in New England. But you got to, if you push the Jets to 2-6 after everything that's happened, you got a chance to break this franchise essentially. Yeah. And you got a chance to bounce back from what happened in London, learn from what happened in the first game. Real big opportunity here to prove something, and I'd like to see the team. They came out hot last week. Let's play with that urgency again and try to continue that for a full 60 minutes.
Quick reminder to Patriots fans: as bad as it is being a Patriots fan right now, and as hard as it is to watch them play, at least you're not a Jets fan, man. Can you imagine, dude? The Jets are 2-5 right now. They really thought they were going to compete for the Super Bowl this year. They're 2-5, and Aaron Rodgers is a complete disaster. And so it's one of those things that is wild to me. Wild to me. By the way, Patriots Local saying rival fans have already started to take over Gillette. That's incorrect. There might have been about maybe 15-20%. More so than normal, right? But it's not like it's 50-50. Yeah, maybe 15 might be a little high, 10% or so. But we'll see. I just think that man, being a Jets fan must suck, dude. You thought this was the year, and now you're tied to Aaron Rodgers. You just traded for Devontae Adams, who's shot his way out of town in the last 2 places he's been.
Well, you're all in on a team that is currently 2-5.
Yeah,
you've already broken glass in case of emergency 3 times this season,
right?
And it's not Halloween yet.
It's not great.
It's not the spot you're supposed to be in.
It's not great. As somebody, I forget. I don't know.
Not every veteran quarterback who's over 40 years old can go somewhere else, bring his friends, and make it work.
It's a great point. Tom Brady.
Apparently, that's pretty difficult.
Tom Brady screwing the Jets once again. You absolutely love to see it. I forget who it was that said it, but I'm going to quote it anyways because it's hysterical. The Jets are one Randall Cobb trade away from being a contender.
Jordy Nelson, where are you?
Oh, brother. But anyways, all right, we'll see you guys Sunday night. Thanks for tuning in as always, and thanks to keeping the chat lively. We appreciate it. And one thing I wanted to add, what does TD say? Bruce Armstrong jersey on the wall. That's a great one. That's a great call. I'll have to look into that. Try to get one of the old school, like the 90s blue with the slanted letters, Bruce Armstrong autoed. Be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. All right, that's my eBay search. Anyone wants to buy me something for Christmas? There you go. Bruce Armstrong, Bruce Armstrong autograph jersey. There you go. So I don't know why anyone would want to do that, but if you want to, go ahead.
Do it.
So anyways, thanks guys. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.